Hello, everybody, and welcome to How Do You Choose? Okay, so far there's the Who and Jennifer's Journey, and there'll be more people I'm sure will come along, and if they don't, well, then there's just three of us girls will have a nice little party. Hi, Christy. Hi, Jennifer.
Hello, and I'm seeing Millicent
Oh,
in my screen.
I am
alrighty.
too.
Okay, well then I'm just gonna have to change my layout because it's telling me it's just all right. Let's go radio style. Whoop! I see Millicent. Hi, Millicent. I see her typing. I just can't see who it is. Yes. Oh, okay. We're four girls. Party in the house. Okay. Well, as I said, this was more than last week. Last week all I saw was giant me. That's scary. Go bird's eye. That's better. I like bird's eye. Okay, we're set. I can see people as they walk in. Millicent, you want to turn on your mic? You're more than welcome to join us for the chat. There's no minimum. There's no there's no money at the door to pay for anything. I'm get silly anyway. Okay, so the idea of this show came about that I kept seeing things on Facebook about people, how much they charge for their services, and some people charge pretty amounts for whatever reason. I don't know what their reasons, how people decide, how much they charge for either mediumship or I had a brain fart here. I had it all written down. How much you charge for your service? Either it's psychic readings, mediumships. Why do I keep hearing clicks? Okay. So this was my idea was to have people, tell me who you chose to give you a mediumship reading or a psychic reading. Who do you go to for spiritual healing, spiritual conversations, and how you choose them? I don't have to have names. It was just an idea that, I was curious as to how people got to choose them. For me, it's if I feel comfortable with somebody, then I'm okay. Now, what I pay or I don't pay, that, it happens in the moment. Sometimes it's just an exchange of energies. It's not cash. And I had an exchange of energies. I did a reading for a young lady, and she gave me a discount on my tattoo. Woohoo. Very, never again. Okay. Somebody else can talk now. Unless I'm not hearing anybody.
She's saying you're breaking up just a bit. Oh.
Okay. Well, keep me informed because I can't tell if I have everything. I'm going to make sure I have everything else off. Let's keep it up. Okay, Christy. How do you choose people that you would go to? I keep hearing your tap on your mic.
That's strange. Usually I listen around to different shows and see who I like.
Who was the first person that gave you a reading, whether it's psychic or mediumship or whatever?
Lord, it's been about 3 years since I've been hanging around, and I really honestly could not tell you who it was because I've had several of them.
Mm-hmm.
As far
I've had
as
a few as well.
Yeah,
Jan?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. And how do you go, Jennifer?
Well,
choosing?
for me, I was in the beginning when I started to really open up and knew that I needed to explore more. I was actually led and guided by spirit.
Okay.
It started out with somebody that I have known for many, many years, but never actually met because I was afraid of him. My family knew him very well. And one day I was, there was a lot of stuff going on, and I decided I was going to look him up. And I looked up some archives. He's a local guy. And all of a sudden I was in the kitchen. And nothing that I could get up to listen to would come on. And all of a sudden it started playing. So I started listening from afar, and some things that hit home ended up coming up in that archive. And
Okay.
I decided at that time he had a show going on. So I decided that I was going to listen in. I did call in. He validated everything I didn't have to say a word. He's
Okay.
he's very, very good. And, he led me to Robert Sharp. He was going to be a guest on Robert's show, Mystical Cruises. And, so that, got me to explore Blog Talk Radio and Robert Sharp. And at that time, Robert, had very good psychic mediums on his shows, and I decided that one night I was going to call in, and it was really crazy how I got in and the reading. So that
Okay.
I feel that you're directed and led. You know who you click with, and that
Yeah.
led me to other things. And this was a teaching experience. I learned a lot, and a lot of these people aren't on radio anymore. They're off doing their other things, but it's who you feel comfortable with. It's how you
Yeah.
click. You know who, you're guided to.
Yeah.
And it just goes from there. There's some that I, don't speak to. I'm very careful with who I let in my energy. But
Yes.
like I said, everything that I've been through has been a learning experience, and I'm very glad I had those opportunities.
Yeah. There's a lot of people out there, and you have to be comfortable with, like, with who you let into your energy, because because there are some who are not as honest as we'd like to believe that all of us are or
Yes.
can be. So if somebody who wants to hold you back from what you're doing, where you're example saying, catches that this person I'm doing a reading for is going to be like an awesome psychic herself or himself,
Right.
but they surpass me, so that means they're going to take something away from me. So their ego stops them. Because there are people out there that do that, as much as
Yes.
I hate the idea of it. And they stop you and say, oh, well, you shouldn't do this because it's wrong, and da-da-da-da. So we have to be very careful on who we let into our little bubbles.
Right. Like I said, I'm very, very happy that, I work well with spirit. They work well with me. And, if you've taught, like when we first started talking,
Yeah.
all the synchronicities that just started flowing before doing, during and after, that is a connection that you were supposed to make, and you were led to that connection for a reason. And that's just how it works for me. I know when, somebody's not being honest with me.
Yes.
And I know who I feel comfortable with. And when you can make, these, connections, that it was meant for a reason. And you know who you feel comfortable with. When I'm in doubt, there's many times I have doubted myself. Just the other night, I was starting to get in that doubt. No, here we go again. But Friday night happened. I happened to listen to a show. Right away, I started getting the goosebumps and the chills. I'm like, oh, here we go. What's going to happen? And it was a reading, and it validated some other things for me. And I knew.
Yeah.
Spirit, pushed me to listen to that show and, what I was about to hear. And it just,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Christy, I know you keep getting muted. I'm not if you're muting yourself for this IntuiTalks. Mute. Oh, okay.
I just unmuted. It does. It shorts out. They're aware of it. I just have to. I hear a beep every time I unmute myself. I don't know.
Every time you mute, yeah, That's normal. When you mute or unmute stuff, you should hear a beep. It just sort of like lets you know.
Yeah, but am I the only one that hears it?
No, I heard
Yes.
it when I first came on too.
You do it you'll be the only one to hear it when you mute yourself or unmute yourself.
Okay.
I won't hear beep.
Okay, good.
Be to your own beep. Yes, and Melissa, it's fine if you just want to listen. If you have a question or a comment, just pop it in the chat room. Turn on your mic. Go ahead. Just feel free. There's no rules and regulations, and just no biting. Jennifer, no biting.
Right.
So yeah, we have to be comfortable with who we have, and I'm hoping to have Robert on the show because he's had a lot of interesting people on the show. I get to listen to some of his shows. It's not that, and I also like the archives, so it's going to be an interesting conversation there. But this show was about deciding who we put our trust in. Basically, it's who you put into.
Uh-oh.
Okay. What's the matter?
Okay, now I'm hearing you again.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm hearing you again.
Okay, cool. Can you hear me now? No, I'm kidding. This IntuiTalks is a great place, but I'm just getting to learn it. Some of the little bits and bobs and how to get in here and how not to mute myself without realizing it. I do that on purpose accidentally sometimes, so who knows. Okay, I know we say that when you're looking for a teacher, the teacher will come when it's ready.
Yes.
But how do you know for sure? Because I have many friends who can be teachers, and I have one, my Reiki master, but I think of everybody, all of my friends have taught me something, whether it's, like take a deep breath, whether it's shove me over the edge and make me go off my radio show. I won't say who that was. Jennifer.
Right.
But, how do you know that when like you said, you have 5 people who are in your life, they are all awesome teachers in their own respects, in their own fields of whatever they're choosing. And these are 5 people, these are 5 things that you want to learn. How do you decide which one, that you want to go for?
Well, I've had many, like I said, I've had many teachers. Everybody, it has taught me something, but it's who I feel most comfortable with. And I feel that is spirit led, and that makes that connection for me. I have learned to use a lot of discernment. If something feels right with me, then I go with it. I use my intuition. I let spirit guide me. And it seems that has worked out very well.
Okay. Christy? She's muted again.
Yes, I'm muted again. I did. It did it again. Actually, it's just like Jennifer says, it's one drawn towards what I feel. If I have 5 things to choose from to learn that I would like to learn, and if somebody would teach me, it's like I will read off what their little spiel thing, and then it would kind of depend on who I think would be the better teacher, and that I would go with my gut instinct on. I know in other areas, let's say, life coach and whatnot, if I know somebody's a hard ask, I would probably not go to that person for life coaching. I would go more towards somebody who wouldn't let me get by with stuff, but they would have gentle approach of telling me so I don't just shut it down.
Yes.
Right.
And so I wouldn't do that with a psychic medium either if somebody's straightforward. If there's something that needs, a little sugar coating, I'm much better with that.
Well, it all depends on the way things are delivered.
Yes.
I can, Jennifer can give me a reading, and then the next person can give me a reading, and we'll say exactly the same thing, just differently.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's their approach, it's the way they give it to you. So yeah, so we have to, I so far haven't. Well, no, actually, I've had one event in my spiritual life where I was pretty much just starting out, and somebody asked me to. So I had given away a free reading on my page on Facebook, and the woman who got the reading said, "Oh my God, you're really good." She said, "Why don't you come into my group and be a reader?" And I don't do it the way everybody else does. I know everybody is different, but I was like, okay, I'll try. I was willing to try. And the first time I did a reading went well, but the second time I was ill, and it was taking longer, and there was a problem with time zones. So the head of this group says, well, if you can't do it, we'll replace you for it. I said, look, the cards are already drawn. Everybody's, I just have to type it up. Just, it'll go into my time frame. Give me an hour or two. Oh no, it has to be done. And what do you mean the cards are already drawn? How have you already? Because that's the way I do it. And she says, well, she says, for this time we'll replace you, so that you can feel better, and I'll talk to you later. It's like, okay. Sure, whatever, Right. And then after it was all over, I thought it was funny because it took people to replace me. But like, yeehaw! But afterwards, she says, I don't understand the way you read, so for right now, I'm not going to allow you to be a reader on my site until you take my course. I'm giving it for free, but I want you to learn how to do it this way. And I was like, okay. I said, well, it's not going to happen right now because, I'm not well. So she goes, no, we start next week. So I sort of went into the course. It was a Skype thing or a Facebook thing. And again, my time difference to their time difference was different. And I worked during the day, so it wasn't, so it's like, even in type word, I could sort of hear deep sigh, like, she was exacerbated? She was just. So I said, You know what? I said, right now, it's not to happen because my time schedule and your time schedule doesn't work out. I said, but I'll come back to you when I'm ready, and I thank you for the offer. But I never went back.
And everybody does things differently. You have to do it your way. I had, many people, well, I'm going to teach you the right way. No. Even before I accepted what was really going on with me, all these years wondering, you look back and you think, hey, I was giving sort of readings, life coaching, these things, how did I know that? These things would just come out. But I did have people that were, well, this is how you do it. And, I was, I wasn't really out there like that. And I thought, well, okay. And I'm like, I'm not comfortable with that. Yeah. I'm going to learn my way. Spirit will guide me through this, doing it my own way. Everybody, oh, you have to take classes. You have to get certified. You have to do this. You have to. Well, back in the old days, I don't think they did it like this. So I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of exploring. I let it flow. And I said, no, I am going to do it my way. And when I'm ready to do this, I will know. And, it did. It flowed. I mean, I would practice on everybody, unintentionally. Things just would come out of my mouth, and it's like, okay, are you okay with this? Some people, I didn't ask permission. It's like, this is what I'm getting, and I'm just going to go with it. This is how Spirit is giving me that push out there. And that's how I did it. I did it my way, and I'm so very happy that I did. I didn't let anybody push me out there. I didn't let anybody, force me, you
Yeah.
need to be doing this. This is the only way. I did it my way.
Yeah. Well, I had a reading done by a woman one time, and she knew a little bit about me because pretty much everybody knows me. And she said, "Well, you have to learn tarot. You have to learn tarot cards. Do it the tarot." And da da da. And I was like, I do tarot, but not in the sense that the tarot readers do. I still in tarot deck, mind you, mine are all angels, like an oracle deck. I don't do the past, present, and future. It's just the way it reads to me. It doesn't, it's not a choice. It's chosen for me. I didn't. But
Right.
learning to, I'm interested in learning how that a tarot reading is done, a real tarot reading is done. So I do have one very special from Dorothy Holder. And I do read it. I am learning it. I am interested. It will be a tool in my toolbox. But
yes.
It's not the way, it's not what flows, for right now, it's not flows naturally.
Right.
So.
Exactly. And I'm glad you brought that up. You just brought some of my dream back to me last night. We'll have to talk about that later. Very good.
Dorothy's in dreams. I'm gonna have to talk to Dorothy.
Yeah, this was something about the tarot and the oracle. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's how it works. Somebody will say something.
Mm-hmm.
A song pops in your head. The synchronicities just flow.
Yeah.
And that's the way I like doing it. Even like I said, when I'm in doubt and I'm starting to feel down, it's like, oh, I'm not, I need to get back to doing this. And, somebody, I had given a reading. I'll tell you, I'd given somebody a reading. I was giving a lot of free readings to this person. I just, I felt it was the right thing to do. It was getting to be an everyday thing. I was getting messages, and finally I said, you have to have just a full out reading. We have to talk, Skype something. I'm getting I got your grandfather visiting me in the middle of the night, waking me up. So I did give this girl a reading, and then afterwards some messages were coming, and I just had to give it what I was getting, and she wasn't too happy, I don't think. But I don't sugarcoat. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. What I get, I'm going to give you. And if Spirit wants you to know it, that's why I get it. That's why I am more into the private readings, because there are some things that are not meant to be said on the air or out on Facebook. But she unfriended me, and I couldn't, it took her a couple months to unfriend me. And I was feeling, what did I do? Then I thought, well, maybe she doesn't want somebody else to get a hold of her messages. And I've been staying away from some shows, and just Friday night, something, told me. So I got on, and I started tingling all over. I started getting those feelings. I'm like, there's something that I am meant to hear. And lo and behold, I'm like, wow. And she was told exactly the same things that I had been giving her. And it's my prayer that she does finally do something about the situation, and that things go well for her. But it was validation for me, and it made me feel so much better. This is, somebody who is highly respected out there in the community, and it was a boost. It was something that I needed to hear.
Yeah, it confirmed your reading, so you knew that you weren't just making it up, sort of thing. Becca G, thank you for coming. But yeah, that Christy, you got anything to add into this one?
No, I'm just listening on this one.
Okay. Becca G, if you want to add your mic, you're free to join conversation. This is just like A free for all. How? Okay, we're gonna keep with you and me, Jen, because you're the only one who wants to talk to me. Nobody wants to talk to me. Kidding. Back with Christy. Don't worry about it. How do you decide that Spirit has given you a message? Okay, i.e., you're doing a reading for somebody, and you know that they're too much noise in the house. You know that because Spirit has given you that somebody in their close family is not well. Okay, to the
Right.
point where, you know, if some people will say, okay, if this so and so doesn't take care of himself, he's going to die. Okay, if he doesn't get himself to the doctor, he's going to die. How do you, in your own head, I have a feeling my sound's rather choppy because my picture is choppy.
No, you're fine on my end.
Okay. How do you, in your own head, say, okay, you know, I can put this as much, you know, as not sugar-coated, but it just depends on the way that it's delivered.
Right.
But do you think the person will accept it? It's like, no, you know, like if somebody told me, it's like, you know, unless your husband does this and this and this, he's going to croak. I'd be like,
Right.
honey, you'll do this,
Well,
this,
I've
and
never
this,
put
you
in
know.
those words, but
Yeah, no, but I'm
there's
saying, like,
times that I have picked up on things, and how I usually like to start a reading out is I'll do my meditation, do my little thing, and usually I'll type something out, I'll say, okay, we've got a reading at 1:00. I'll type something out, and I want to make sure that we have a good connection. Just
okay.
give me yes or no, or it doesn't resonate.
Mm-hmm.
And I will type out a few, questions, or this is what I'm getting. And when they start typing yes, 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 I'm like, okay, now, I know we've got this connection.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not making a connection, I'm going to tell you. I'm sorry, but I'm not, I'm not going to make things up. And, then we go on with the reading, and usually the Spirit gives what they're meant to give. I have had, things come through, and I will say, who is it that has this, that, the other, and then like I said, it flows. And I've got a big heart. I'm a big empath. So, and there's been times I've shed some tears in a reading, with somebody I'm giving a reading with. But I feel Spirit guides me on how to, put those things out there. If there was, even my own mother, I knew that my mother wasn't feeling too well. And of course she's, not going to admit it. And I tried very gently. And even, my spirits were letting me know. I tried very gently to tell my mother, and be as gentle as I could. If you don't do something, now something bad's going to happen.
Yeah.
And although my mother knew that everything else that was coming out of my mouth was correct, she chose not to listen. And it did happen. And I had a few other readers that, who is, but they would say no, and wouldn't go there. But I knew what they were going to tell me.
Yeah.
My mom and dad were divorced, but my dad was through. My dad stayed with my mother her whole hospital stay. But something bad ended up happening, and it really hit home because, like I said, that was my mother.
Yeah.
And I felt, if you would have listened, we could have prevented these things that happened, but it did, and it did for a reason. But I'm very careful with that. I don't like, I've had some readers typing in the chat, oh, you're going to get in, so-and-so's going to get in a car accident. Watch this. What? You make people paranoid.
Yeah.
You've got to be very gentle how you deliver these messages.
Yeah, like I've had somebody once tell me, "Oh, I'm never going to go to one of you people because I was told when I was 20 I'm going to die of the pancreatic cancer, some kind of cancer." And I said, "Okay, first off, that person who told you that needs a good smack upside the head.
Right.
Whether or not they said it exactly that way, but that's the way it came out. So,
Right.
it shocked the crap out of her.
Yeah.
So, um, I said, a good person, a good reader is going to give you the what they get,
Yes.
but remember, everything is a matter of choice. I said, so if I tell you you're going to go out here, you're going to turn left, and you're going to hit by a bus, what you going to do? And she was like,
Right.
I don't know. I said, you go out and turn right. It's a matter of
Exactly.
choice. As Becca wrote, I think we can, only speak what we are told kindly, so maybe don't say you're going to die.
Right.
Kick the bucket. But do say it's of great importance that you get seen by a doctor. Then it is their free will to go or not to.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, and when I was young, well, that was when some of my family members were more into psychics and mediums. I mean, now that I'm doing this, it's
It's
frowned
like,
upon, but,
honey, let's go see.
even when my children were small, I
Hmm.
had somebody say, "Oh, I went to I showed them the kids," and I'm like, "You did what?
Hmm.
Oh, and this is going to happen and that's going to happen." And I'm thinking, I think I've got years to wait on that stuff, and the way you put it to me, it sort of scared me. It was always in the back of my mind.
Hmm.
Um, I still think about it. But it was the way it was delivered,
Yeah,
and it's like, you put fear. Um, if something's going to happen, it's going to happen.
hmm,
Um, and I do, free will, but it's the way it's delivered.
exactly.
And you can change things. Things can change.
Yep,
So you
because
do
we
have
have
to
our
be very
choices in
careful
everything.
with how you deliver these messages.
Yeah, like for me, I have, knock on wood, have never had a reading that I've given to somebody that has had bad news.
Hmm.
But then I ask that I get nothing but good and positive. And like in some respects, I had one that I did a Reiki treatment on, and she had had breast cancer. She had had the surgery, everything was removed, and it was like a full mastectomy type of thing. And when I was doing her treatment, um, when I got over her breast area, I kept getting pushed away. The energy just kept pushing my hands away. So I didn't say anything. I just kept on doing and I made sure I went the rest of the treatment and everything was fine. But when I came back again to try that again, I kept getting pushed away. So to me, at the end of the session, I said to her, along with everything else, I said, one of the things that happened was when I went over your breast, because she was petrified. She goes, "Don't touch my boobs, they're sore." I said, "Okay."
Right.
First, try to let her, sometimes I make sort of light, jokingly, I said, "It's okay, I'm not a breast girl. I just, I like buns. Don't worry about it. Your boobs are fine." And I said, "But when I got over your breast area, I said, the energy kept pushing me away. I said, what I want to do is go to your doctor." I said, "I'm not sure what it is or why it is. It's just an odd feeling that I got. I've never been pushed like that." I said,
Right.
so she says, "Well, I have an appointment next week." And I looked at her, I said, "You better keep it, otherwise I'm going to show you how much I like your butt, because I'm going to smack it." And she started to laugh, and she said, "Okay, fine." And when she went at the end of the week to her doctor's, there was an infection.
Right.
And that's what kept pushing me away, was not that something I could do something about, but accepted her to go to her doctor. And that's like, to me, the worst case scenario that I've had to deal with, to the point where now I don't know if she had left it be, would she had, gone. She had the appointment anyway. So
Right.
it was just a confirmation for her, in a way of saying, get your ass to the doctor,
Right.
because she's a rather stubborn person. She still is, But
Right. Well, I just did a reading recently, and this is somebody I've known for years, many, many years.
mhm.
And, she, I've finally, I'm not ashamed of what I do, and it's put out there. And she kept telling me that she wanted a reading, and, whenever you're ready, but chance had it that we got in touch with each other, and things just started coming out. And I was right. I was picked up, on quite a bit of stuff, and I was concerned about her daughter.
Okay.
And there were some things that were going on with her daughter some years ago, but I was picking up that these things would start happening again if some intervention wasn't taken.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I was very gentle with the way I delivered the message, and she says, yeah, you're right. You're exactly right. Then I picked up some things with her, some health issues. So, but I was very gentle with how I delivered those things. So, and I'm very happy that they have taken those steps. And actually her daughter and I are probably going to have some, little spiritual counseling sessions. But it's just the way you deliver the messages.
Very true. I typed it in, but Diane, if you want, you can turn on your mic. Everybody else, you can turn on your mic, and if you have anything you want to say, you can chime in. If you want to turn on your mic, type it into the chat room. It's an open discussion of how we do things, how we choose the people in our lives, readers, psychics, healers, teachers. So, but yeah. And, okay, if I asked you, you can name the person if you choose, you have to, to name the person that had, if I asked you if you could choose one person who's made the biggest impact in your life,
wow.
Whether it's psychically, that sort of brings it into the psychic, like somebody who's sort of like, said, and somebody who's not psychic, somebody who's not spiritual, but just says, you know what you said made a lot of sense, and I think you should keep going with this. So for somebody in your life that's done that, like it doesn't have to be a family member, it could be somebody who we consider to be, up there on the level of a psychic medium, whatever.
Well, I would have to say for me, it was Robert Sharp.
Okay.
He made a very big impact on me, and like I said, I would come to his shows and be online. The crazy stuff would just start happening and flowing, and the readers that he had on, he used to have co-host on, I believe it was Wednesday, Star Weldon, and we had a very deep connection. My spirits really liked her as well. But Robert made a very big impact on my life. And I can't thank him enough. If it wasn't for Robert and the shows that were going on and the people he had on at that time, I probably would have, walked away and not gone as far as I did. But I felt, everything, it was so much encouragement, and seeing him, Robert was writing his book, Joy Potential. He was doing all, and just seeing him go so far as he was, but he was very encouraging. When I first realized my first big astral travel, it was him I was calling in the morning, to talk to him about, and, but it's Robert Sharp.
Yeah.
Robert Sharp has, very, very, very big impact on my life. And if it wasn't for him, I don't think I would have gone as far as I did, as fast as I did.
That's cool. I've listened to a few of his shows, and what I do hear of him, I like very much, which is why I want to have him.
Oh, yeah.
Because for me, I like to meet different people, and I always learn something from everybody. Whether that or otherwise, it's always something for me to learn. And so Robert is one of the ones who he intrigues me.
Yes.
So when I'm intrigued, I gotta go dig around. But for me, the person, I haven't had a big ta-da one. I've had little ones here and there. But the very first person was, there's a woman in the chat room, same name, so I'm not even sure if it's my Diane or not. But my daughter had a conversation with me about who and what she, how and who and who, what, when, where, why, how she connected with spirit. And she sat me down and said, Mom, I got to talk to you, and I don't want you to say a word till I'm done. So, Diane's in Australia. Okay, so you're not my Diane. But you're still good, Diane. I like Diane. Australia, yeah, that would be just waking up. Go wake up Brian.
Right.
She's in New Zealand. So my daughter, she spoke for about 45 minutes, and then at the end she said, okay, now you can lock me up in a rubber room. And I was like, you know what, if I lock you up in a rubber room, I will have to be in the room next to you. Because I knew what I did, what she was telling me about, I had no problem. I can't swim that far. Okay, we'll get a dinghy. What I was hearing from my daughter wasn't a surprise to me. It didn't frighten me, it didn't scare me. It was just like a matter of fact.
Right.
So I thought, she may have been the one to. She would probably be the biggest one to have the impact on me, because she allowed me, or she shoved me through that. I like to get shoved, it seems. Shoved me through that door of opening up myself again. Because I know that I did astral travel as a kid, because I can remember little things.
Right.
When after we had that conversation, my daughter and I went to the close, the esoteric shop near me. That's what it's called here, is a spiritual store near me. And I've been to a couple since then. But this is the one when you walk into and you feel like you're walking into a hug. It's a store that's run by a mother and daughter team. Amazing ladies. But it's like, you just feel that warmth envelop you. It's like, so I was like in there, and I had never spoken to these people. My sister was the one who brought me there, and she didn't tell them anything about me. She didn't even tell them I was coming down. And the mother, Diane, she sort of watched me walk around, and I was, drawing certain things, and I was just I was taking it slow, wasn't pushing anything. And at one point, she was behind the counter, and I was looking at some crystal stones, and she goes, "Are you open to messages?" I'm like, "Yeah." And she gave me some messages, and they were from my dad. And even when she finished telling me, I was like, I know exactly who that is. And just the way, some things, that the way she would say them were the way things. And the thing is, my dad is English and male, and Diane was French and female. The way she said things weren't the way a French woman would speak. It was more like an English man. She, like I said, she knew nothing about me. She knew bits of, my sister. There wasn't that a big of a connection. So I knew exactly where it was. So again, there was another little shelf along the way of telling, that I had work to do here, and not to be afraid. And I have my moments where I'm like, I have that ego in me is going, you can't be doing this. Seriously, you cannot be doing this. And then there's other times where it's like, it's not ego, but I know what I'm doing it right. I'm hitting the nail on the head. It's necessary.
Right. And I have also found that, I've got some very humorous spirits. I've got some more serious, but my spirits will come through to certain people. I mean, immediately. I mean, before the reading, they're connecting, but, my spirits, know who they're most comfortable with giving the information to. And, I find that, very intriguing too. And of course it was somebody that I highly respected as well. But, my spirits know who they like to talk to if they're not talking directly to me. They know who they like to speak to.
I think that's cool. I have a different way of connecting with my dream team, as I call them. I'll get shivers on this side,
Yeah.
the right side of my body, and which I was getting a little while ago. And some people look at me and go like, "Darling, what are you doing?" I'll sit there and you'll see my shoulder kind of shiver up, and I'll be going, "Okay, relax." And I'll do that sometimes at work. This is why I work a lot with the public. So sometimes I'll get that and I'll be like, okay, now's not the time. And darling, what are you doing? I'm talking to myself on an expert opinion. Just let it go away.
Right.
Go to business, And I'll just, they'll, like some of my people at work, some of my customers at work do know who the is, but in most of the people don't. And it's not because I'm ashamed of who I am. It's
Right.
just that when I first came out of my spiritual closet, I didn't want people to know. I needed to grow for myself first,
Right.
And Christy went deaf. She's back. I didn't want to have everybody know about me until I was comfortable with me. Now it's you ask me a question, if you ask me a question, I'll answer you the way it's given to me. How do I come to the closet? If you're comfortable with yourself, with what you do, I connect with angels. I do my healing. I work with butterflies. People just think, it's the crazy darling with the butterflies. But I sent healing to, my very first healing was to a young boy in Australia. And his mother gave me confirmations that he saw butterflies that I sent to him. He was 18 months old. So, it's when I first started getting confirmations that what I was doing was actually working, was actually connecting, that once I was completely comfortable with myself, I'm not saying that there are moments that I don't sit there and go, have that deer in the headlight look, but then you decide who you come out to first.
Right, exactly. And you'll feel when the time is right. I mean, I used to, my kids would call or, I'd be doing something and, what are you doing? Oh, I'm talking to the frog. And they're, you're talking to a frog. I connect with animals. I connect with the angels. When you tell people that, they're, yeah, okay, right, and they thought that I was losing it. Now my kids always grew up with the crazy stuff too.
Right.
But it just wasn't, it would happen. They would talk about it for a few minutes. It was out and it was done and said and over with. How did, mom know that? How did, mom's got elephant ears. She's got eyes in the back of her head. And then they started exploring more and they're like, hey, look, remember how we grew up? My mom knew that, and it was just, it was a slow process, but then they finally did accept. It was my grandchildren I was more worried about. We live in the same area. They go to school, I didn't really want to come out too much out of the closet, except for Jennifer's Journey. That was kept separate. But I knew when the time was right. My grandkids would just come up and sit down and say, hey, Grandma, I know you will listen to me and you believe me. I saw angels last night. How do you know they're angels? Well, they describe them and I'm like, yep, that kid saw the angels. Some loved ones that have departed, they would describe. So I knew when the time was right. And it did. It just flowed. So now, the older grandchildren, they know. I do have some very intuitive grandchildren, and I feel that I need to guide them. And now we, as a family, sometimes they're like, oh, here we go, little crazy stuff.
Oh yeah, things like that.
Yeah, it's so awesome because I'll tell my daughter, watch. Your butterfly's going to visit, okay, whatever. And later on, she'll be calling me. Oh, Mom, yeah, it was here, or hey, that was crazy, but it
Mhm.
just flows. The people that were skeptical, and I don't want to know that. Things would happen when we would be together or when
Yeah.
we'd be talking. Don't come to my house if you don't expect some crazy.
Exactly.
Um, but hello, Jeff. How are you? Um, but it just all fell into place.
Yeah.
And now, like my 13-year-old granddaughter, she is one of my biggest cheerleaders. She's one of my biggest cheerleaders. She's really into it. And she's not ashamed. She's like, Grandma, if anybody at school or if my teachers ask, you stay at the grandparents' days and things like that.
Mhm.
When they say, well, what does your grandma do? I used to work in special education. I used to work with seniors with disabilities, Alzheimer's, dementia.
Mhm.
I figured she'd be saying that. She'll say, my grandma's a sidekick, and what's that? She talks to dead people. She talks to angels and animals. You mean psychic medium? Yeah, that's it. And they're very
I
proud of
love
it.
I
And
like that.
I'm very proud of them because I want my grandchildren to be very open-minded. I
Mhm.
want my grandchildren to be able to accept this and not be afraid of it. They would see things and hear things and they would get a little spooked and scared. Like I said, my kids grew up with some things, freaked them out.
Yeah.
But now they're all so accepting of it.
Yeah.
And, this is who I am. And if it bothers you,
It's
um,
tough.
yeah, sometimes I can't help it. They're like, oh God, here she goes.
Here she
But
goes. She's
you'll
on.
know when you're meant to give a message to somebody.
Yeah. Exactly. And Diane, for me, my opinion is that if you need to get comfortable with yourself, whether it's here or with other friends on
Yes.
Facebook or thing, um, IntuiTalks is an awesome place. You'll have a lot of great friends that you'll meet, and they'll help you, and you can connect with us, Jennifer, on Facebook, and
Yes.
pretty much anybody in the chat room. Jeff,
See, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, Diane, if you want to send me a friend request, get in touch with me. We can talk.
Yep.
I like when somebody's trying to come out of that closet.
Yeah, because it makes
give you that little nudge.
the more light that we shine, the more people that are willing to shine
Yes.
their light, the better this earth will be, because we have, not us personally,
Right.
in many people have destroyed this earth by the
Right.
negativity and everything else. So we need to bring the light.
Yeah.
And yes, a lot of people go there and start leading with their lights and butterflies and unicorns and so forth. You know what? I look through rose-colored glasses, and I like what I see. Do I see the
Right.
negative? Yes. I accept the negative? Yes. Can it be changed? Oh, heck yes.
Yeah.
I do swear, but I try not to.
And if you don't open up and just let this flow,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you feel like you're crazy because who do I tell this to? Who will understand me? I need to get this out. It will drive you nuts. I was driving myself nuts. Everybody was thinking, oh, she just lost somebody else and now this has really pushed her over the edge. She's getting kooky. She's crazy. They were even telling me that they were ready to lock my ass up. And I'm like, you can't. So, and this is, I've got a doctor whom I love dearly. And, she's, what's going on with you? I don't take pills. I don't take medicine. I'll deal with it. The only things I take is 2 things that I have to, and they're, not like pain medicine, anything like that.
Yeah.
But finally, she's like, I know you want to talk to me about something, and I know you've got something on your mind. Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, this is what's really going on with me. Mm-hmm. This is why my sleep patterns are, this is why, and she's like, wow, why didn't you tell me this? Well, you don't just sit and tell your doctor you're seeing and talking, because, but yeah. I felt
my doctor would be looking at me like, yeah.
I felt such a big burden off my shoulders getting that out there. She pulled me into the office and we sat for the longest time just talking about it. She was very intrigued. She asked me for some of my cards. And she
Ooh.
says, I'm very open-minded. And
Yeah.
she says, I just love this. And she
Yeah.
says, I'm so happy that you finally, just told me. She says, I'm so much more understanding now about
It
everything.
sort of makes things come into,
Yes.
things, yeah. But yeah, then find somebody you can talk to. Like I
Right.
said, whether it's Jennifer, whether it's myself, and like I said, there's quite a few people in the chat room. We will hook you up. We'll find somebody that you feel comfortable with, that will listen to you, because that's how it starts. You have to have someone to listen. And that I did for my daughter. She had to get it off of her chest, because my daughter, when she switches down spirit, when she tries to ignore it, it gives her panic and anxiety attacks.
Yes.
And I'm the only one who could ever calm her. She would call me up at work, and all I would hear is,
Yeah.
I'm at a big store. It's like, hello, somebody take my cash. I got to go. And they knew that, when I say take my cash, they have no choice. So find somebody who you feel comfortable with.
Yes.
Whether it's myself or Jennifer, whether you know somebody else that you have trust in, there's somebody there for you.
Yes.
That's without a doubt, because there are enough people of light out there, and to have them, ooh, comes the rain, figures. There are enough people of light out there who are willing to help. Now, yes, there are people out there who will who charge for their help, but what you need for right now is not somebody who's going to charge you, but somebody who will charge you in the respect of, you have to be honest with yourself as well as with them. That's the way I look at it. If you're honest enough with yourself and you say, this is what I'm feeling, this is what I'm hearing, this is what I'm getting, and I'm not a total nut job. Partially, everybody needs to be a little bit nutty, but you need to find someone to talk to. You'll find them.
Right.
Like I said, maybe coming into this show was what, was your way of learning that there are people out there for you to, we have a guest.
And that's how it was for me too. I was having severe, when I was trying to fight it and hide it, I was having severe panic attacks, anxiety attacks. It was getting so bad. And I kept being told, you need to let this go. You need to, explore this. You need to, this is what you really need to do.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't listening. I was like, no, because everybody already thinks I'm nuts. I know this is real. I know this is very real.
Mm-hmm.
I would stay up all night, watching and hearing things and writing. I probably killed a couple trees. I would sit up all night writing. And, I actually got spiritual flu. I didn't know what was going on with me.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I'd be bouncing off the walls, couldn't sleep for days, and then all of a sudden it would hit me, and what is going on with me? It scared me. I talked to somebody, and they said, you've got spiritual flu. What the hell is spiritual flu? You gotta be kidding
what
me.
Is that?
But I did, everything I was told. I'd research, I'd look up, I'd read everything I could, teaching myself. And I was like, you know what? That's no joke. This really does sound like a spiritual flu.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'm like, okay, I'm going to work through this. I'm going to get myself out of this. And I would, if I had to go out, it got so bad. I quit driving. And I'm like, okay, I have to go out today. Now, if I'm really seeing this stuff at night, I want to see it in the daylight, in the sun. I want this to happen. If this is a spiritual flu, I started seeing the blue pearl and all sorts of stuff. So, and things started getting so much easier for me, and it just started flowing. And I learned to let it go. I'm like, hey, I don't care what they think of me. I don't care what they say behind my back. This is what I'm meant to do, and I'm going to keep doing it, no matter what anybody says. And, if I've got to lose a lot of people in my life, it was meant to be.
Yeah.
It did. It just turned out totally different, and I'm very, very, very happy, very grateful for even the bad things that I had to learn the hard
Yeah.
way. But I'm very open, and I'm very honest. I believe in integrity, honesty. I don't sugarcoat anything.
Mm-hmm.
And I try to, do the best I can.
Yeah. It's funny. I heard, I don't know what it was. It was one of those live Facebook feeds that, just like I'm always grateful for everything. And I know that, people, oh, what about the bad? But it was this live Facebook feed, and I don't remember the young woman's name, but she was saying how she is, she's grateful for everything. There's a gratitude place, and everybody
Yes.
wants to be grateful for, good health and my this and my, but you also have to be grateful for the negative things in your life.
Yes.
Because for all the negatives that's happened in my life and in everybody else's life, they make you who you are. Hi,
True.
Nancy. And if I used to say if I can go back, I would change it. But but that was before I came out of my little closet here. And now if I go back, I wouldn't change it.
Right.
Because changing that, what happened in the past, would change who I am now. And I like who I am now. And I've been told, and I have to, I guess I'll take it for gospel, can we say? I do help people, and most of my stuff is not because of courses or but it's because it's, for me, it's like experiences.
Right.
Okay. Nancy, first time, there's no protocol. If you have a question, ask. If you have a comment on what's being discussed, chime in. You can turn on your microphone so you can, if you can speak, that's fine. If you just want to type it into the chat room, that's good too. Hey, Wings. There's no hard and fast rules for me. Just no cussing and no biting. Jennifer's the only one around here who's allowed to bite. But yeah, no.
A little bit.
Cause I don't think I've ever. Okay, wait a minute. I have heard you say one word that was a bad word.
Right.
But no, I have to accept, as much as I don't like what happened to certain times in my past life.
Right.
That the child in me goes, I could have changed that, but the grown up, the D in me goes, you know what? That person, what happened in that time, is what made you who you are now.
Exactly.
So, I mean, if people think I'm a little loopy and I'm all, frou and light and lollipop, yeah, well, cool. That's what I am. But there was a T-shirt I put on Facebook. Somebody sent it to me as a joke, and I said, "Look, I'm putting this on Facebook. Don't piss me off, because I will show you the gates of hell. I will open it, because I'll be on the other side showing you in."
Right.
Because everybody has a line to cross.
Exactly.
And that line for me is my children. Don't cross that line. Don't ever mess with my babies. And unfortunately, I've adopted so many other babies that I got children that go, "Hi, Mom." It's like, "Hi, babies." So that's, for me, that's where my line is. You don't mess with my children. You don't mess with children in general, because that's where this nice person turns into a raving, nasty redhead. But each thing that's happened in our lives makes us the person that we are now. If there are people in your life who don't like who you are now, or the way we do things now, you're in my life for a reason. Maybe it was for you to learn what I have to share. Maybe it was for me to learn that, you know what, you shared something with me that, before I came out of my closet, this is what I learned. I learned how to, work a cash register. I worked how to, shoot a gun, or never did, but what the hell's good thought. But everybody comes into your life for a reason. Everything happens for a reason. Now, it's not always a good reason. No. People go, "Well, I was, abused as a child." Yeah, no, it wasn't. A, first off, it wasn't your fault. B, the reasoning behind it is I don't know everybody's reason is behind why things happen, but abuse is there's never any. Oops, somebody's taking over there. Abuse is not something that I take lightly, and but I deal with each one and each thing, and there are some bodies that should be buried very deep, 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 deep. But
Right.
until then, the person who is injured, who is hurt, is the one that I have to take care of. And in some respects, that can be ourselves, that can be a close family member, or just a friend in the chat room. You know,
Right.
we all have to. I guess for me, the biggest thing is I have to be comfortable with who I am. And you have an awesome place here that whatever you have to say or any questions you have to ask, the only stupid question, the only dumb question is the question that you don't ask. That's it.
Exactly.
You know? And
Yeah,
that,
even by cancer. Even when I got cancer, I was, but I know, and I survived it.
yep.
It was my doctors telling me, you're being so positive about it. The power of prayer and being positive. That's what got me through it. And it was a big lesson. And I felt after it was all said and done that, it made me such a more stronger person.
Mm.
And I
also,
was able to talk to other people about it and be more open about it. And I was able to help some other people get through
yeah.
their situation. So, I mean, I wasn't happy that I had to deal with that.
No, it's not, yeah. But it allows you to know what it's like to be on that side of the fence.
Yes.
I couldn't help anybody with cancer because I've never been through it. But then you know what it's like to go through and to have survived it.
Yeah.
And all the crap that came along with it. So if somebody's going through, having cancer and going through treatments and it's like, then they can always say, you know what? I'll go talk to Jennifer. She knows, It doesn't have to be a spiritual conversation. It's just listening. It's just being,
Exactly.
So,
yeah, there's things that, I never in a million years thought I would be, talking to certain people with, but you just know.
Mm-hmm.
And I have shared some of my own personal stories with certain people. And, when it was all said and done, I felt such a relief. And when they, let me know how much it helped them and that they could move forward now, it's so beautiful. If you can help one person by telling them your story, hey, there's no reason to hide it. There's nothing to be ashamed of. You got to get it out. You got to get it out there.
Yeah, because we don't know exactly who we can't tell who you're going to help.
Exactly.
So it's, you have to share with it so comfortable.
Right.
When you're comfortable with it enough that you want to share it with people, then find your group of people. Find your person that will make you feel comfortable and loved and hugged and just helped. Even, like I said, for me, Jennifer and I have had conversations. There's a few people in the chat room who I've had conversations with who I trust. And it's not an easy thing.
Yes.
For some of the things that we go through. But for me to feel comfortable with myself, I've spoken to a few people about some things. Some people know things about me that I was like, oh my God, no, they don't, But you got to be comfortable with yourself to be able to share with somebody. Find one person that can, can give you that hug. Long distance, close distance, it doesn't matter. You'll find a person. And eventually your grandchildren will stop rolling their eyes. Oh, wait a minute, I'm saying, I still roll my eyes at others. So no, they'll never stop rolling their eyes at you.
Right.
It's part of what we do, just so long as we're there for our children. Because I know that my daughter was already open to it before. She's the one who sort of like shoved me out of my closet. And my youngest son, he was here when I was doing readings, when I was having conversations with people, and he's like, Mom. Afterwards, he'd be like, Mom, what were you talking about? So I would explain it. So like, oh, cool. And when he was younger, he asked, he wanted to do meditation. He wanted to learn things. And well, now he's 19 years old and he's off with his friends. I have an elder son that, he understood what I did when I did Reiki healing, and he came to me and he said, Mom, I got a problem with my back, and you give me a hand. I said, yeah, sure. He says, I can't afford to pay you. I said, oh, yes, you can. I said, the payment you have is because you have to stay. Okay. Oh, right. You're down there, aren't you?
Good.
You have to stay for supper. And he was like, okay. So, I got to see my son because he wasn't living at home at the time. So I got to see him. I got to make sure he was eating properly. And I got to treat him. I was like, to him it was, like when you call your children up and go, you want to come for, have coffee, Mom? Let's see. Let me check my schedule. I'm fit in your schedule. You're going to fit me in your schedule. So, you'll find, again, everything comes down to being comfortable with yourself.
Yes, true.
Oh, wow. Like this conversation goes everywhere. That's why it's an open, I like having this type of conversation with people. Okay, mind you, it's just you and me talking. But anybody who has a comment or a question or a statement, put it in the chat, because Jennifer and I can talk for hours.
Yeah, we can.
I know there's a few other people in that chat room who can talk that I've spoken to before. They can talk for hours with me as well. Yeah, no, this is Diane. Connect with somebody. Mama has spoken. Don't make me put my hands on my hips and shake my finger at you, child. Oh gosh. Okay. See, it works.
Sometimes we just need that little kick in the pants.
Yeah, you're real good at that, Jen. Real good at that. It's a lot of time.
Well, you're not so bad yourself.
Yeah. But actually, there's quite a few people in that chat room who are quite good at the pushing. Get over there. But it's all done with love and somewhat gentleness. Ow.
Right.
But and there's many places to find people. Here in IntuiTalks, on Facebook, there are different. Hey, well, on the topic choosing who you work with, I noticed that those who have the same kind of worldview as me with the same communication style work best. Very true. Okay, Nancy, where are you from? Because I work with people, I work well with people who I don't have the same worldviews as.
Me, same here. Yeah, I've learned an awful lot.
Yeah, it's just be willing to be open to listening to what everybody else thinks. You don't have to accept it. What somebody else believes doesn't have to become your belief. But listen to them. And like somebody, okay, I'm not an American, I'm a Canadian. But I mean, you have the guy with the weird hair and the woman with the weird husband. Who do you choose from? It doesn't matter. Because no matter what, it's going to happen. You just have to deal with it. And Raven says, yep, when I learn to grow spiritually, Spirit leads me to the person, and that makes sense. Yeah, it does.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. I was guided. I mean, it just happened, and the craziest stuff would happen, but I'm so glad it did. And I knew as soon as things started coming out, it's like, this is why I was supposed to hear this. This is why I was supposed to be here. Yeah. This is why I was supposed to connect with this person when I did. Just like Brian, the first time the show was, and I could not get in, and I'm like, oh no, and he kept coming to mind, and things kept popping. I'm like, what the heck? Finally, when we connected, everything just flowed so nice, and it was like I knew him forever.
Yep. BrianC was supposed to be on here with us, but he, like you, Diane, is down under. I'm not sure if pretty sure if I'm correct, he's in Australia, but I'm not sure.
Australia.
It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, or something like that. So, yeah.
Right.
Jeff's an awesome dude too. But Brian is amongst many things, he can read your mind. If you allow him, he will read your mind.
Oh, yeah.
And he will,
and he's good at it.
Have vision quests. I was just referring to the fact that sometimes it's easier to connect when there's enough commonality that you're not always explaining yourself. Yes, that's like when I said when you speak to animals and they looked at me like I was nuts.
Oh,
Yes.
honey, that's what I was just saying. I do communicate with the animals.
Yep.
They do talk to me. Yes, people did think I was nuts at first, but then when they started seeing, it's like the cardinals are very big for me, and now they're like, "Hey, Mom, your bird's here. Hey, your butterfly's here. I communicate with the animals all the time. I'm not ashamed of it. I don't care what anybody thinks.
Yeah.
I communicate with all the animals, and I do understand them. So
Now,
I don't find that weird at all.
okay, Jeff. No, talking raven does not count. Well, actually, it could count because she's a sweet bird. Yes, I do that, and yes, do talk to you if you're open to them. I love them more than humans, I think. Well, that's because, Aw, that's because they have no expectations. And many humans have expectations. They want you to fix this, and animals, they just love you, and they want to
Yeah.
be loved, and that's it, and be treated with, with, with who they are, not being, abused and whatever. It's like the same thing as humans, and in a respect, but animals to me are like children, like babies. They have no yes, expect them to feed and fight for the bathroom. They have no expectations. You don't have to prove to them you're good. You don't have to prove to them that you are who you are, because they just accept you for who you are. Animals and babies. That's why when babies sit there and are talking to their invisible for young children, just let it flow. I have a neighbor, her dog chased a spirit around the house, and she thought, there was something wrong neurologically with the dog. And I said, no, you have fairies in your house. You have spirit in your house. So the dog sees them, and the dogs be like, trying to, snap at them. But then he'll sit there, and you can see when he's calm, because they behave themselves. Spirit and fairies in her house behave themselves because the dog just sits there and goes, okay, fine, I'm done.
Right.
You know.
Now, Casper,
Yes.
Casper is very intuitive, and he doesn't snip at spirits or anything. If there's somebody that he doesn't know, he does let me know that he doesn't know them, and I'll calm him down and tell him it's all right, it's a good spirit. And but my dog is very intuitive.
Mm.
And I'm not ashamed to let anybody know that either. And like I said, I've had company that is like, what's going on with that dog? We've got somebody here visiting. And he senses them. He knows them. So, but yes, our animals are very intuitive.
Yeah. My cat, for example, when I had a house full of fairies and spirits and the like, for a whole other story altogether, they would tease him incessantly, and he wouldn't go into the bathroom because they would pop out and tease him. And I could see it. I couldn't see them, the sprites and the fairies, but I could see his reaction. And there was nothing to the human eye could see, but I knew what I had done to allow them into my house. And he was like, ah! You know that Halloween cat look? This is my little orange cat. And it's like, what the hell is wrong with you, silly? And he would do that past the bathroom. So when they left, he was like going into the bathroom. He would sniff it around. It's like, it took him a while to get come to the bathroom, but he's fine. And sometimes we still have company, because he'll be sitting there, and all of a sudden he'll be like, hey, it's like, okay, just relax. There's no flies, there's no bugs. I investigate to make sure. So I was like, okay. So it's, my door opens, Diane, and 5 cats into the bathroom.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I have to lock my door. My cat can open the door. I don't have a turning knob. I have a handle that you do this to, and he will jump and do it until he gets the door open, which is really not funny. I don't mind when he does it when I'm in the bathroom because I can just flush him with water and he'll take off like a bat out of heck. But, when you sit down on the potty break, Jennifer said, don't use that word again. But my cat will come in and look at me like, what are you doing? So now I tend to go to him when he's in his little potty going, and he looks at me like, what? So I can do the same thing. If I close the door, a million paws showing in at the door. Yeah, cute. Mind you, if Ember did that, I'd have a freak because there's like this little space between the door. But yeah, so you're talking to animals is an awesome gift, and you can learn a lot from. They can have amazing stories to tell you.
And I listen.
Yes,
I do listen.
And if I want to know anything from my cat, I'll have to have somebody have it. Communication is the only thing I get from him is when he wants his food bowl is empty or when his water bowl is empty. He will run back and forth like a dog and meow at me and go back over to the bowl, come back, meow at me and go. That's the most communication. That plus when I walk past him and he smacks me just for the heck of it. It's like, hello, it's a boy. You started talking to butterflies, then ants. Ooh, I would love to know what my butterflies have to say. But everybody has somebody that they connect to, or something, not even a thing,
right.
but something that they can connect to spiritually alive. Ooh, 5 years old and she started talking to butterflies. We should have a conversation about you getting on my show. Either here or Pennsylvania.
First with me was the butterflies. It was this butterfly was the size of my hand. And it showed up on a bush right next to the front door. And I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, I've never seen a butterfly so big. And just sit there and I would get so close to it. And, I kept saying, I stand back. Everybody was coming to the yard to see this butterfly and they were shocked that this butterfly wasn't leaving. It was there. And one evening after a couple days, I told my daughter I couldn't find my camera and I was going to work a night shift. And I was like, I have got to go buy a new camera. I got to take a picture of this butterfly. No one's going to believe me, but it's going to be gone in the morning. And my daughter's like, okay. And I'm like, that's Daddy. Daddy is sending this butterfly. I had some things going on. And she's like, okay, whatever. So 10 minutes later, she comes in my room. She says, Mom, get up. Let's go get a camera. And I'm like, I couldn't find mine anywhere. And we went and I bought a new camera and I took a lot of pictures of this thing. And I said, he's going to be gone tomorrow morning. And it's going to be before I get back. And he was gone. Thank God I took those pictures, but I always thought about that. And many years later, just a couple years ago, I finally got in touch with somebody that I used to work with. Because, of course, I told her my story. And I thought she thought I was going to be crazy. So when we finally connected again, and I told her, what has really been going on with me these last few years, that was the first thing she brought up. She said, Jennifer, do you remember the time that you came to work and talked about that butterfly? And I said, yes. She said, I knew then that there was more to this. And I was right. You're right. And I knew. I connected with the butterflies and the animals. And right after my last loved one left, the night before he left, I should have, I knew. But he told my mother and I, he said, when I go, if I can come back, you're going to know it right away. I'm coming back as a bird. When they took him out of the house, I knew his soul never left. And that next morning he was back as a bird and he let me know it was him. So I knew I knew then, and I did. I talked to him and, he did answer. So I knew then that I could communicate with all the other animals and they started coming and I knew this, certain times they would come. They would always come at a certain time. They would let me know that they were out there. I'd go, oh, wow. So I just started letting it flow and seeing how well I could communicate with them, and pretty amazing.
I like what Raven wrote. When her sons were little, they were smacking, and she told them, you kill it, you eat it. And they never killed another bug.
Right.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, spiders. I won't even kill, spiders anymore. My girls, they have a big fear of spiders, especially my middle child. But I would, she'd be screaming, a spider, and I would, let me get a picture of that. And some of the weirdest stuff would come out in those pictures. And she's, and I not kill it. I brush it, take it outside. And she's like, you gotta be kidding me. She's screaming,
put
kill
a glass over it with a paper underneath.
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I can't kill that. That spider's here giving me a message. And she's like, okay, but
the only time I've ever killed a spider is when it sort of scared the bejeebers out of me, and it was a little one, and it was like on my face. Oh damn, I'm sorry, but don't mess with my face.
Yeah, no, I don't kill the spiders anymore. I take them outside.
Raven, the spider murderer. Well, we all have our critters that we don't like.
Right.
I can't say. The only ones I really, really don't like are cockroaches.
Oh no,
I can do with spiders. I love snakes.
No. Now see, that was my biggest fear and phobia, is the snake. And boy, I've had some scares, but it was during this spiritual flu experience. If I saw a snake when I was younger, I would have nightmares about those things. But I started having these dreams about the snakes, and they made sure that they weren't scary, and the way they came, and then they would be on me, and I was like, and, I had to have somebody explain that to me too. This is the Kundalini, and I'm like, what? It's a what? But my fear of the snakes. Now, I'm not getting up on them. I don't want them too close to me. I'm not going to pick them up or pet them. I don't ever see that happening. But the fear of the snake really subsided. I mean, I could go out there. I mean, different colors. I was like snakes that I've never seen a snake like that. The colors, but yeah, I'm not as fearful of snakes as I was either.
Jeff said, I told the king spider that they're welcome in my house, but stay out of my shower or they're dead.
Right. No, if I catch them, I try to take them outside. I don't think that they need to be in here with me.
Yeah, no.
Tell me what you got to tell me, but then we got to go outside.
Yeah, let's go outside playing in the grass.
Right.
My worst here that I have a few spiders that come around. I got a couple of big ones that my son scared himself silly with it. And the only time that I actually get killed in his house is by accident, or because the little sucker won't let me catch him out, and then my son says, I'm bad enough, Mom. And yes, he's a spider murderer as well. But it's little nasty carpenter ants that seem to have invaded my house.
Yeah.
But then that's my landlord's problem, not mine. It's like, guys, out. They come in my kitchen. They're always around the kitchen. So just toss them outside. And people look at me like, my husband looks at me like, you're nuts. Just squish them. They can go build somewhere else. Just ain't going to build in my house. But, so talking to animals is another one of those amazing gifts. And you can always come on one of my shows. We can talk about your talking animals. So I'm not a difficult hostess, am I?
No.
Okay. Yay! Little crazy, little nuts, but hey, that's what makes.
And we all are, and I enjoy that.
Yeah.
I like the diversity. I like nuts. I like crazy. I love crazy.
So long as it's all for the good, then
yes,
it's cool. We do have a few crazies out there that are not so good, but I'll find a way to make them smile. they'll be less stressed. But, okay, I have a question for you, Jennifer.
Yes.
Out of all of your ways of communicating with spirit and sharing your messages from, which is the one you like the most? And which is the one that you like the least?
Well, I like getting my messages directly, straightforward from spirit.
Mm-hmm.
That is the best communication for me. I have learned to communicate with my spirits very well. I don't say anything is the least. Any way they want to give me the messages,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm able to get those messages and understand them, know who they're for. Everything is a learning experience.
Okay.
It started out with, time. They would give me, show me to look. Well, I call this little old cell phone that everybody makes fun of. It's my little Tesla decoder. I get dates and addresses through time. Something will let me know to look at that digital.
Yeah.
And I'm even woke up at certain times. And I'll know. I know the difference between my angel messages or my dates, my addresses. I'm not going to explain how I know because I can't explain it. I just know. But I have opened up since I started really getting into this. I never thought I would use cards. I never thought I would use a pendulum. I started, I finally got some cards and I was like, wow, this is pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I can read cards. These cards, it just fits. Everything just falls into place. Pendulum, I'm like, that's something I might try. And I was very shocked at how well that worked. There were some, I would see pictures and I would see things in the pictures that other people didn't see. And they're like, where do you see that? And I'm like, well, they're right there. And I'm describing everything. So I learned that I could see spirit in these pictures, and I'm very into that now. I love when people send me pictures that I can look at, and I'm drawn to, I get messages through Facebook. I get messages through my computer all the time. It's just, don't ask me how I know. I just know. But there's not any way. I mean, well, sometimes when you're getting woke up at certain times, it's like, you gotta be kidding. But now I look at the time and I'm like, oh, look at this. All right, I got it. And now I can go right back to sleep. I get woke up at certain times. It's crazy, but it's my type of crazy and I love it.
Cool. Now, when you get message from spirit, do you get with using all your senses? Why I'm asking is because I have a friend in chat who smells and tastes things when she gets messages.
The tasting thing, I thought that was just Jen Young that was doing that. But yes, I have always got the smells and, seeing things, hearing things, I feel it. I get this, just these feelings. And if I'm doubting myself, they give me validation. It's like, no, I got it. But, yes, tasting, I didn't think that was going to be something that I picked up. And, one night I'm like, why am I tasting this? Why now I'm craving it. And it's like, just so strong.
Okay.
And then I would find out, hey, that's why. The other night it was apricots. I'm like, I don't eat apricots really. I thought, I started smelling them and I'm like, is that apricots? Well, it's got to be apricots. Why would I think apricot? And then I started tasting them. And it's been so long since I've had an apricot. I'm like, is that really an apricot? And, I was doubting myself and all of a sudden I feel the little head tingling and, I'm like, okay, that's apricots.
Okay.
And, but sometimes I do get the taste, not as often as a lot of other people, but,
well, like I said, my friend in the chat, I won't mention who it is, but if she wants to chime in, she can.
right.
When I had a conversation with her, she was telling me how different smells and different tastes. One of the things which I thought was the perfect thing was when she could taste soap. She knew that somebody was lying. She knew that somebody was lying. And it's like, it's funny because as a kid, when we used to use four-letter words, when we used to cuss, I used to get my mouth washed out with soap. And so that resonated with me. It's like, oh, that makes sense, like if somebody's lying and you taste soap, you know that they're lying or they should their mouth washed out with Don't say it. But I think that was the first time I'd ever heard of somebody who tasted through messages were through taste and through smell. Smell I kind of get because I'll smell my dad's I'll smell my dad's cologne, which is Old Spice, and nobody in my house wears Old Spice. And sometimes I'll smell like cigarettes, like a nasty ashtray, and I haven't figured out who or what that is, but there's somebody who comes around every so often that smells like they've been smoking a pack of cigarettes in 1 minute, Yeah, she does have an amazing gift.
Yeah, I even had a guy that would come through in the beginning when he first crossed. I could smell, I'll say, his illness. He had a lot of things going on with him, and there was a distinct odor he carried. And I started smelling that, and I had to ask, I know who it is. Let's give me something else because that smell was just too much. But that is what his mother remembered smelling an awful lot. So, and then a conversation came up and I smelt it and I'm like, hey, are you smelling? And she's like, yes. And it's so, we talked about it a little bit and then he started coming through with another smell and also for her. So it's, it's how you will recognize that it is them is how they'll come through.
Yeah. And
sometimes a cigarette in her ashtray, hey.
Well, up until a while ago, nobody in the house smoked, so it didn't make any sense. But in my office, there is no cigarette. There is no ashtray. I don't smoke, so it didn't make, I have to sit there and I'll figure it out, I know somebody. It has been a while since I've done. And the other one was peanut butter.
Right.
But I know it's a friend of mine, her guide. It was a joke that he did. He said once, and she told about it, and it's like, it's got to be him because it's the only reason I can connect with peanut. And yes, our adorable Wings is an art teacher, and she teaches just by being herself, not by. She does teach, yes, but just listening and just being around Wings is an awesome gift because she is very gifted and she shares her gifts like all over the place. I always get the smell of fresh dirt to let me know someone passed. Ex-smoker, I hate the smell of ciggies, but my dad smoked. My dad didn't. Yeah, she's an awesome teacher. She's an awesome, so, we have, I cannot say that there's a single person in the chat room that, except for those I don't really know, that I haven't learned from something from. And even Diane, I've just met you today. I may have met you before, no, but I learned something from you and Nancy. And Millicent has been very quiet, but she said she would just be listening, so that's cool. How long is you're open to learning?
444, those are my numbers. When someone I know passes, never get who though. It's not me. It's not me. Those are the numbers I get woke up to a lot. 444s. That's a long story how that stuck.
Yeah. I think
I don't plan on going anywhere anytime soon. I feel I got a lot of work to do, so.
Oh, I keep saying to people, customers at my job, look, I've died before. I've been down there. And they went, oh, no.
Oh,
And I've been up
yeah.
there. And they go, no. So I said, I'm stuck here for an eternity. I said, I'm 457 million years old. So you got to bring with that. See, it talks to people upstairs and down, you know. So
I know I have been here quite a few times.
Mm-hmm. But, yeah, no, this is, I told Spirit to knock it off if they are telling me who or why. So now 444 means a different meaning and sign now. Yeah, interesting. I noticed, when someone passes, I get this feeling, I get this really sad feeling inside, and I haven't figured out why it is. Then all of a sudden, if it's somebody who's connected to me, I'll get some kind of confirmation, like a twit who texts me. But,
well, there's, sometimes we get things that aren't so, great. I have, I've experienced, some of my friends, some of my children's friends that were going to cross, and, some other people, I've gotten those things. And that's very hard. That's very hard, but I'm very understanding to it. And I do communicate with them once they have crossed. And a lot of them have messages, for their friends and loved ones that they left behind, trying to teach them lessons as well.
Yeah. It's
so
funny how,
a lot of people say that, I wish I had that gift. I wish I could do that. Well, be careful what you wish for, because it's not always, some people say it's a curse and it is a blessing.
Yeah.
And, I always wonder, why did I get this? I write everything down. I write everything down. I do, I astral travel at night and, go places in my dreams. I write all that down. But, yeah, that was very hard. For years now, a young man's been coming through to me, and then another one. And I didn't understand until I was like, hey, wait a minute. I'm thinking about him all the time. I'm seeing him. I'm getting all these signs. And then, I was able to validate. And so now they come around quite often, and I'm able to pick up the messages and give those messages. But this is sometimes very hard, very hard. And I am a big empath. Oh, my goodness. I am a very big empath. So, it's not always easy.
No. And I was one of those people who would say, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I could do that. Now, I know my gifts are not as well attuned as yours and many other people in the chat room, but I know that I know what I know and I get, and I just deal with it. Eventually, if it's meant for me to have a better connection with spirit, then yeah, I'll get it. But I do nothing. But I do.
Yeah,
you do. Well, he makes good
He's just
cake.
not
He
admitting it.
Yeah. No, Jeff is an awesome male. Actually, he's the only male in the house. Yeah, let's pick on Jeff. No, I'm kidding. But no, I don't have as my gifts are not, my talents are not as as defined as many people in this chat room. But I know when I get it, I know it. And I know eventually if it's meant to be, it's going to happen. But I used to be the one going, I wish I could do that. And I've stopped wishing, because eventually if it's supposed to happen, it's going to happen. Talking to animals would be an interesting thing, but sometimes I didn't know too much of what my cat has to say. So I'm like, okay, cool. But each of us has our own gifts, and each of us, and I have friends with amazing gifts, and if I have a problem and I can figure it out, I'll go to a friend with an amazing gift.
Right.
Weird, but a good example. Just got a used hospital bed. I need to do a cleansing on it. Jeff is an awesome teacher, a gifted spiritualist. Yes, he is, even if he wanted it. But he's a pretty good cake, too. You'll have to let us know for sure, Raven, because if I'm correct, you're down there visiting him, aren't you? Bring back the recipes. Sneak some cake back. Yeah, I think This has been an awesome.
All right.
And stuff. This has been an awesome show. I'm really glad. Has to be the bit. Yeah. Clean it up. Cleanse. Some
Yeah, I
things
suggest a cleansing on that also. Anything that I get, I try to do a cleansing on it before I bring it in the house. I do a ritual. I don't care what people, see me out there doing anymore. I do, ritual on it. I do a cleansing because you never know what you can bring. I actually take sea salt and put it across the front door. You'll see me out there shaking the sea salt shaker, I don't need any negativity. So I do, I get out there and just put it out there. Nothing negative coming in here. But I would suggest highly doing a good cleansing on that hospital bed.
It's funny how and I know in a bit and she can do some awesome readings, and she's an awesome lady, and she's again another great teacher. But she's getting information that she would give freely to anybody else who had the same problem. She's like, cleanse it. It's a hospital bed. It's you know what to do.
Yes.
But sometimes we forget to do our own thing. We forget to cleanse and ground and bubble and protect and everything else that we tell everybody else to do. Like I tell everybody else, journal, write shit down. Write stuff down. Do I do it? Not too often, not as often as I'd like to. But,
right.
Yeah, well,
I'm a big one on journaling. I push that on everybody.
Yes.
Journal. You just, it does. It opens up a lot of doors.
Yeah.
It really does. And then go back. Go back and read some of the things you wrote. I mean, I was shocked. Everybody kept talking about this automatic writing. Sometimes I'd just be writing and I'd go back and look and I'm like, I don't use those words. What is this? And, I talked to a couple people and they're like, you're automatic writing. That's what you're doing. I'm like, yeah, but, anyway, spirit, wants to connect, they will connect. And, pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah. I think that the connection that we have with spirit, the connections that I have with my friends and their spirit and my spirit and my guides, I am so very grateful for everybody in my life. I can't think of anybody who's not supposed to be here isn't here.
Right.
In my life, isn't connected because they've had their little ta-da moment with me and now they're gone. And I think I have a lot more learning to do and I have a lot more sharing to do. And one of my ways that I share is by having this show and the other show, Romania. Okay, let's get here. I do 2 shows. I do a Fireside Chat with Mama D. If anybody wants to be a guest on my show, it's Monday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. You can either be a guest or you can just come into the chat room. Connect with me on Facebook. I am Mama D, or otherwise known as Mamad Angel. Jennifer's Journey is Jennifer's Journey on Facebook. She doesn't have a show anywhere specifically yet, but she's always welcome here, and she's my officially unofficial guest host here, co-host. Sorry, that's the word. And she's been with me on Intuit Paramania. Ooh, don't tell Dave I made a boo boo. So connect with us because this show is just about over. It's only a 2-hour thing because I do have an old fart to tear from Cody. It's at 5:55. Raven, thank you for. Oh, sorry, Raven. Raven, could you stop typing? I keep saying your name. No, I'm kidding. Jennifer, I thank you for being here with me today. I'm sorry if I didn't get, oh my God, Raven and Jeff, you two are always online. So you guys should come back and be my first show before the other one. Thanks, Wings. I'm glad that you came by.
Thank you all for coming.
Yeah,
Awesome.
this was an awesome thing. And next time, I'll set an alarm clock that will specifically wake up Brian, and we'll have him on again. And this is fun. I think we should do this again. Just have a conversation day.
Oh, we will. We will.
All right, ladies, gentlemen. Well, okay,
have
ladies.
An awesome day, everybody.
Have an awesome day, and we will talk to you soon. Diane, you already have connections, so feel free and open up. Get out of that spiritual closet.
She will.